Hello and welcome to another episode of a Brothers Creed podcast,
where we inspire fathers to build the blueprint for the next generation.
We are the Thomas Brothers. I'm Jared.
And I'm Ethan.
All right. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about something that's interesting. I'm calling this next series that we're going to do, next couple of episodes, the Keep the Wolves at Bay series. As you may or not, one of the things that inspired this series is I was listening to some country music like I do when I'm knee-deep in code at work. And there's a song called Keep the Wolves Away by Uncle Lucius, I think his name is. And it's just kind of a story about keeping the wolves away, or this responsibility as a man to keep your family safe and keep these dangers away from your family, or keep them at bay. Like I just think about the end of the movie The Gray, where he's taping up his hand with those broken bottles and he's just about to go at it. That's what I think about.
The wolves are always ravenous and hungry on the prowl and on the attack. You can't ever turn your back or you're going to get mauled.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about a couple of those over the next few episodes. I mean, there's a lot of different things out there. This one, we're going to just going to have a little bit of fun with this. And you have to excuse my voice. I have a little bit of a fall head cold, I guess you could call it. So my voice is a little bit scratchy, if you will. But it just makes me sound more seasoned. And it lowers my voice as well. Okay, so we're going to start off. This episode is we're going to do 3 kind of not so obvious wolves that might exist that you might want to pay attention to. And then we're going to do talk about 3 obvious wolves that you do need to watch out for in your lives and in the lives of your families and for your kids. So, I mean, mostly this series is about protecting your kids or your family from the wolves or from these dangers. So this is just one episode of some obvious and not obvious, and then for the next couple episodes, we're going to specifically dive into some different aspects of keeping the wolves at bay, like for more broader themes. So some of the stuff we don't mention.
Strategies on how to keep the wolves at bay.
Yeah, and the ones we mentioned today might not be, like, I didn't mention any of the ones today that we're going to talk about in the next episodes, because we're going to talk about those in the full episode. So yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Ethan and I both chose 3 not so obvious and then 3 obvious ones. Let's do the not so obvious ones first. You want to go first, Ethan?
Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. So, my first one that are not so obvious is, and I kind of looked at this as from let's say, a child's perspective, like the day-to-day life of my kids, right? What might happen to them that they might not realize. And so these are kind of the hidden things, right? The things that might not be so obvious, that hidden challenges or dangers, wolves that they might not recognize.
In sheep's clothing, if you will.
Yeah. So my first one was an obvious. No, this is not obvious. A hidden challenge or danger that they don't always realize. I think not only kids but adults too. But one is my first one's peer pressure. That one is one that really kind of sneaks up on you. I think people just in general want to be accepted, whether that's kids or adults. I think kids sometimes can be a little bit more susceptible to influence of others as they're kind of forming their own lives and creeds, right? But for this reason, sometimes the kids or people just in general do things that they normally wouldn't do just to kind of fit in or to be a member of the crowd. And it's so easy. It is so easy to get caught up in peer pressure, right? Whenever people are like, oh yeah, I remember this one time. It was just like so stupid. It was when I was on my mission in Chile. I was in northern Chile, and we were moving this apartment, and it was the apartment that we were moving out was on the second story of this apartment complex building, and it had these stairs that kind of went down, and they had a bunch of mattresses. There was like 4 mattresses that we pulled out of the apartment, and we'd carried them down the stairs and put them on the grass, like outside of
I can
like
see
the
where
balcony,
this is
going.
the balcony area. And I was like, oh, we were just joking around and messing around, a bunch of like 18-year-old kids, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna jump off, into this pile of mattresses, and they were like, oh, you're not gonna do it, you're all talk, right? And I was like, oh no, I'll do it. And then and then now you have like 15 people that were there. We're all like, do it, and just like you kind of, it just overtakes you, and you're like, I can't not do it now. And so I was like, oh yeah. So I climbed over the balcony, and I was like,
This is
just
second
go
story
for it.
balcony.
Yeah, so the second story balcony, and just straight dove towards these mattresses, and it was like 4 twin size mattresses. Like they weren't like big mattresses.
Okay.
And I went and I landed on top of the mattresses, but they were much more springy than I expected.
And you
bounced
And
off.
I bounced probably 10 feet in the air and then like landed on the grass, but I kind of like landed halfway on my feet. And I remember, I think it was like, I think it was my ankle, or it was like my knee or something like that I just like smacked it on the ground. But I had to play it off like, oh yeah, like nothing happened. But then I like turned around and like almost threw up in my mouth because I got hurt.
Oh,
Like
gosh.
freaking stupid decision. Like, why did I do that? And so you just, peer pressure is something that really sneaks up on you, and I think that's one of those hidden things that you really need to we need to talk with kids about. Like, you're gonna feel pressured into doing things or doing something that makes you look cool or whatever else.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
don't sell your soul.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's a good story. I mean, I think that it matters so much. I think like who your kids are friends with matters much more than anything you're telling them. I think it matters significantly. And so being in good community, having good peer pressure, all it takes is, one kid pressuring your kid, oh, hey, rob that convenience store. Boom. Something stupid, or hey, let's screw around and do this, it doesn't take a whole lot. So let's go on. So my first one hidden thing that I feel like is not really talked about very much is the danger of loneliness. So loneliness, or feeling isolated from others, not socially connected with others, is actually a huge problem, especially now in our society amongst young men and women, but particularly young men. I've looked at some statistics here, and there were some studies done about loneliness, and some very interesting things come up. One is that the risk of premature death posed by social disconnection or loneliness is similar to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day, and even greater than obesity, physical inactivity, according to one of these studies on social connection. So that's crazy. So that being lonely and disconnected socially is a huge risk of premature death. So you think, oh well, kids don't smoke, or kids don't just be lazy bums on the couch all day and get fat and obese and due to inactivity. It's like, well, one of the most important things is you need to socialize. So like next time you think like, well, it's just a pain to have my kids' friends over. No, rethink that. Like their social life is just as important, and that's something that you have to do. So it's almost like that's something that requires action, not inaction. Not smoking a cigarette, that's something that requires inaction. But having a good social life, that requires work. And if as a parent, that often requires you inviting kids over to your house or taking your kids to birthday parties or taking your kid to someone else's house. And so it's very important that you make an effort to help your kids grow socially in that way and give them opportunities to do so. There was another piece here that said across measurement approaches, so they measure kind of different ways of social connection. Being socially connected is associated with a 50% reduced risk of early death, demonstrating that social disconnection is indeed a severe problem. So obviously being social connected reduced your risk of early death by 50%. One of the things that we've talked about before in this episode, on this podcast, is the blue zones around the world. You remember what that is, Ethan? Remember we talked about them and how there's like these areas where people have extreme longevity and they live for a very long time. So one of the main factors in those communities is social connectivity. These are people that live to be 100, 105, just really long. And the whole community ends up living really long lives. And one of the things there is that social connectivity, sense of community, those are major factors in the reason why those people are having longer lives and overall life satisfaction. So in regards to hidden dangers you might not have thought about, loneliness, and teaching your kids how to connect with other people and how to make friends and then foster those relationships.
Yeah, I like that one. That's good. It's, I think especially among men, right? It's like the suicide rate is significantly higher among men than women. I think some of that could be because I think sometimes men don't socialize as much as women do, maybe emotionally. Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a hidden one.
Go ahead. What you got next?
All right. So my next one is screen time. So this one, our kids, even like I said, once again, us, right, are constantly exposed to screens, right? We are constantly stimulated and overstimulated by our phones or iPads or, I literally have been, and I probably said this before, I've been laying on the couch before, watching a show on TV, watching a YouTube video on my iPad, and scrolling TikTok at the same time.
Dang, homie. You're
It's like, man,
blasting all of your senses.
Yeah, I just like that dopamine rush.
And talking to your wife at the same time.
Yeah.
Or trying to talk to your wife.
Or she's trying to talk to me and I'm completely in a different world.
You're like,
right?
oh yeah, uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. What did I just agree to?
You're just mirroring her. Oh, I can't believe she said that. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. I have to say the last word that she said.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
have to say that with like a question intonation. And then,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's that Chris Voss. Never split the difference coming out there. Yeah.
So I think screen time. I mean, school, home, TV, phones, even like just exposure to like that much like blue light can cause issues with sleep deprivation and kids having a hard time going to sleep and everything else. So I think that's just kind of a hidden one, that it's such a part of our world nowadays, and it's such like a part of our kids' lives every single day, that all their textbooks are on computers now, and it's just like so. And one thing I noticed for my kids, and they don't notice it, and probably me too. But whenever my kids have had like a day where they have just been like vegging out on TV, like
Mhm.
let's say they watch like multiple hours and hours of TV a day, which
They
does
fight
not happen.
way more.
Yeah, which does not happen very often,
Mhm.
but every now and then when it does, it's like when Caitlin and I are sick or something like that. Um, their attitudes are terrible. They fight more. They are just they I don't think they don't even realize that they're doing it, but it's just like they have a terrible attitude. They feel groggy and angry, and they just fight more, and it's like it's not good. And so and I don't know if it's a matter of limiting or changing, or I think screens are just obviously the way of the future to a certain extent.
Mhm.
um but I think that's a secret danger that us as parents need to kind of reel in a little
Yeah.
bit for our
Yeah.
kid,
Totally.
for our kids and for ourselves. And we've had episodes about that before too.
Yep. And I think that depending on what they're doing on those screens, some of them can be way more harmful than others.
Very true. Yeah.
And that's where kind of my next one goes into. And you and I kind of spoke about this before, Ethan. So, but one of the hidden dangers of kids and being on screens and tablets and stuff is this kind of universe of games that's called Roblox,
Yep.
and it's kind of billed as a kids game, but really it's a minefield of predators trying to get at your kids virtually. So it's like,
It's like an open virtual world,
uh-huh,
right? That anybody can join into, and it's like this universe inside of the computer that you're kind of like tons of people can go in and interact and communicate and chat and even talk to each other, right?
yeah, yeah, and you could make you can. There's lots of different games in Roblox
Mm-hmm.
where you can go play different kinds of games. People can create their own games, and then you can go play those games. And so there's tons of different rooms to be in, games to play, people to interact with, and it is incredibly uh, dangerous for kids. I mean, you think about, back in our day, all these creepers that wanted to creep on kids. They joined up as youth pastors or scout leaders or something like that if they wanted to get close to kids. Nowadays, they can do that from the comfort of their own home. They can just creep on kids and at their own houses, and anonymously through this game, and it is pretty bad. There's been tons of parents that have raised concerns over this, not only like in things that you can see, like inappropriate images, inappropriate contexts of different things, but like you can overhear conversations that are inappropriate as well. Roblox has attempted to, put in some guide rails, but their attempts have been weak sauce at best, to try to protect kids from, these bad actors. Essentially, what they've said is, well, the internet's got bad actors in it, so that's not a problem that we can solve. That's the government's problem. And it's like, okay, well, I can solve that problem by not ever letting my kids on Roblox. And then they don't have to worry about getting blackmailed by, sexually blackmailed by some kind of creeper guy online or trying to get people's numbers. And, these people they'll do anything. I mean, sexual blackmail is a very real threat. I mean, that could be another one that's involved tangentially to this, where they'll, hey, send me a picture of this, or they'll pretend to be a young girl and then send me a picture of yourself, and the kids will do it, and it's like, hey, actually, I'm not a 13-year-old girl. I'm a 57-year-old man, and unless you pay me, $500 and Apple gift cards, I'm gonna send this to your contact list. And there have been kids that have killed themselves because they don't want to be embarrassed. Uh, Absolutely horrible. And for someone to do that, I mean, that's like the lowest life form on earth if you're doing that to a kid. But Anyway, this is a hidden danger. You might think your kid is safe in their room playing on their tablet, but really that kid is out on the prairie with lions around it,
Yep.
and you are nowhere to be found. You're putting your kid right in the lion's den, and because people who want to prey on kids will gravitate towards spaces where they can do so with as little consequences as possible. And most of the time, that's going to be anonymously through this program. That's what this has allowed.
And other
So-
programs. I'm sure there's
Yep.
other programs.
Yeah,
and
other programs
and
too.
chat rooms and different things like that happens there.
Absolutely. But this is one of the big ones where specifically it's for games, kids gaming. I think that whole like skibbity toilet thing, I think that's from Roblox.
Is it?
I think so. That was like something all these kids would be saying all the time, man. But yeah, that's a definitely a hidden danger that parents need to be aware of as they're kind of going through life, especially in this modern age. This wasn't a problem.
No,
40 years ago.
wasn't a problem 20 years ago.
I wasn't gonna say that, but there are chat rooms that were problems that 20 years ago. Not Roblox, but there was wide open internet and chat rooms and all kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
I guess that's true.
that was earlier. AIM messaging. You can talk to anybody. They could say anything.
Yeah. That's a good one. All right, so my last one from hidden things. This one is more technology based, and I think we'll probably get into this a little bit in further episodes. But just advancements in technology, I think, is something that's hidden that it will just be part of life. It'll be part of school. It'll be part of work. It'll be part of at-home activities and everything else. But just advancements in technology, whether it's physical technology and phones or cars or whatever else, but even more particularly, just kind of being able to determine what's real and what's not. AI is like the speak of the town now. And so from an AI perspective, like you have AI videos that used to be, 2-3 years ago were freaking terrible. And now there's a lot of people that can't tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just getting harder and harder and harder.
Mostly
And I think-
boomers.
yeah. Well, I think in another couple years, it's going to be next to impossible for anybody to tell the difference. And so that's just from a video perspective. But there's AI platforms out there that can imitate people's voices.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, imagine if even just like scammers were to get, that old scam where the person calls the old lady and, hey, grandma, I'm in Mexico and I got stuck here and my wallet got stolen. Can you, Venmo me $300 or whatever, Western Union me $2,000.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, little Johnny. Right. And so now, and they might be doing this, but they could potentially use technology of AI voice cloning, and it'll sound exactly like the person.
Yeah.
And so it's scary, and to be able to like, how do you even really determine what's real and what's not? I heard it's like having code words for your family.
Yeah.
How important that kind of is and will end up being, is that these secret code words that only you and your family, your kids and your wife know, that if there was ever a question about like, what's reality or whatever, you could ask that question and only the family knows the answer to it. It's kind of like, I remember mom telling us that my grandpa, my mom's dad, well, actually both my grandpas were in the military, but my mom's dad worked, it was an airplane mechanic on the Air Force base there in Louisiana. And his whole thing was, if I ever call home and I ask about the dog to grandma, then that you need to pack up the family and you need to leave. And so, because they didn't have a dog,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of this secret code for, hey, something's going down. We're gonna, there's the base is gonna be bombed, or I don't know, whatever it might be, but you need to leave. You need to get out of here. And I'm sure there were some other details that went along with it too. But I think it's just kind of interesting to talk about things like that with your family and your kids, and hey, like, how, if I wasn't standing there in front of you, how would you tell that it was me, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a hidden one that I think will continue to develop as technology continues to improve, but it's something that our kids are 100% going to deal with.
That was exactly what they did in Terminator 2. Remember when he calls his house, the Terminator calls his house, he says, "Hey, Mom," and she's like, "Oh, honey, where are you?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Is that the dog barking? Is that Sparky barking?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
So, he goes, "What's the dog's name?" And he says, and John Connor says, "His name's Max."
yeah."
And then the Terminator says, "What's wrong with Wolfie? I can hear him barking in the back." And
Yeah.
then the
Mom's like, "Oh, Wolfie's
Terminator goes,
fine."
"Oh, Wolfie's fine. He's fine."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Your parents are dead."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a perfect example.
Yeah, see? Now you knew not to go home, right?
Yeah.
You might have a T1000 at home imitating your parents.
Jeez.
So that would be a worst case scenario. So I actually, you've teed me up perfectly again for the next one that I had. So the next hidden danger was AI girlfriends. Have you ever heard of
Ooh.
this?
No, I have not.
So you know how
I
people
I have heard of people like getting too confident, like too
mesmerized with AI.
reliant on AI. They like fall in love with AI because
Yeah.
it's kind to them.
So like there's these things and like basically it's just like an AI thing where you like put in the parameters of what you want. You're like, I want a girl who is, often insanely hypersexualized, right? But also like I want her to be very charismatic, or I want her to be very innocent, or I want her to be very submissive, or I want her to be very charming, or dominatrix type. So you can code in whatever type of personality you want, and then what these guys are doing is they're talking to these fake women, and they've created, and it seems real because they're like, it's this like real feedback, but it's pretty. I mean, you talk about the loneliness epidemic, and then now people are. And, guys are already lonely. A lot of guys already having struggles reaching out and kind of speaking with women or putting themselves on the line to be brave enough to go out and talk to women. Now they can just have a custom-made woman, well, artificial, from the comfort of their own home. And it's pretty, I think it's a growing danger in that it's, first of all, it's not realistic at all. And you're not having to compromise or navigate any social situation. I mean, you could say the wildest things or the most stupid thing, and then the AI is going to be like, "Oh, okay." You can't offend the AI, right?
Yeah.
So it like it can create a false relationship, a false sense of friendship that doesn't exist or is not real, and then when you do try to seek out those real relationships, you might be disappointed because you're like, "Oh, I don't know why they're not responding to me the way that my AI bot does." Well, I can tell you why. It's a real person. And then that might lead them further into that loneliness. So it's kind of like a guardian, a guardian at the gate of loneliness to keep you in, and not let you out of that cellar of loneliness. And so AI girlfriends is something that is barely, and with AI, creation nowadays with pictures and stuff, your wildest imaginations can come true with the AI, and whatever you want your girlfriend to look like. And so it's a definitely, I think it's a growing, it's just kind of a new phenomenon, but I think it's something that is growing and could become a bigger problem.
Yeah, especially when paired with kind of that loneliness aspect that you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, so let's
All right.
let's dive into obvious ones. What are some obvious ones?
Okay. So my first obvious one was the internet. So mainly social media. I think that it is such a double-edged sword, right? There's great communication, there's great knowledge transfer, there's great sharing of ideas on the internet through social media or through other channels. But I think it can be just good as it is for creation. It can be just as the opposite, right? Destructive.
Yeah.
It can be a tool that fuels comparison and shame and I'm not good enough, self-esteem issues. If everybody is just posting all of the best aspects of their life and that's all you're seeing, and then you see your own life and you're like, well, that's not how I live. I'm not going on vacation every month, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not driving the best truck, or I'm not um whatever it might be, right? Comparison is just the thief of joy.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that is the window to that is the internet, is social media. And so can possibly be very constructive, but can also be very destructive. And I think that's pretty obvious. I think kids nowadays, I think they see that. I think that's very apparent. I think maybe the influencer atmosphere is almost kind of changed, or at least the feelings towards it over the past probably 10 years to be maybe more realistic. And it's not so much everything's fake, right? But it's not so much perfect. There's a lot more people out there that are talking about the struggles and the hardship and everything else, not just about, everything's perfect. So that, and then kind of as a caveat, right? Online predators, which we already kind of talked about, kind of looped those into internet from an obvious standpoint, but that's kind of more like a hidden, hidden danger.
Oh, of course.
So that was my first one.
Yeah, man. There's so many crazy, especially social media. Like everybody, if you get in the really social media mindset, it's like you start thinking, well, what accomplishments can I put up on social media that people will see, or what can I buy that people will see? It's hard to post on social media, I'm at peace, or
yeah.
But
everybody have a good day. It's
I think that in some ways, social media has evolved a little bit past some of these early 2010-ish, these perfect mommy bloggers where everything is perfect and everything is fine. I think it's kind of evolved past that a little bit, especially with a lot of this. What was that lady? That 8 passengers or whatever, the 8
8 and 8 or something like that.
No, it's the Judy. They were in Utah and and
the Frankie lady.
Yeah, Ruby Frankie, dude. Have you seen that documentary about her and her kids?
Yeah.
Dude, that thing is nuts, man. She was abusing those kids all along, and it was right in front of everybody's face the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and her and her friends were these perfect bloggers and perfect, social media people, and
And was it Julie Rowe or something like that, or Ruby Frankie? And then the psychiatrist that she was working with, she was even more crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of I think a lot of the people got really turned off to that. But yeah, that's a danger. Definitely an obvious danger that people continue to be vigilant about. So mine is one of the ones I would add as one of the leading causes for death for kids is that's above car crashes is accidental deaths due to firearms. Now, there's a couple different reasons that breaks down. So firearms deaths count for 18% of deaths among children. Now, most of those, 63%, are from homicides, 29% are from suicides, 5% are from accidents.
So
Statistically,
gang violence.
yeah, statistically, black death rates for firearms are 4 times higher than white youth. 11.7 people per thousand of black kids die because of gun violence. And that accounted for 46% of all firearm deaths. So a real problem in that community. Like you said, a lot of those are gun violence. And in some cases, though, you get teenagers that are killing each other. But in some cases, you get some, excuse me,
Little
you
kids
get some
probably.
guys that are just driving by a. You remember that movie? What was that baseball movie with Keanu Reeves?
Hardball.
Hardball. Where he's walking down the projects and everybody's sitting below on the floor. And he's like, why is everybody sitting on the floor? He's like, oh, because they're sitting below the windows. Because at night people do drive-by shootings, and if you're in front of the window, you get hit.
Yeah. And then G Baby gets hooked.
G Baby got cut, man.
Yeah.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
a major problem. But one thing I think is so important, though, and I wanted to address, is the importance of locking up your guns. We've talked about guns. We talked about one of our first episodes was like all these guns that the first 5 guns you must own, right? But locking up your guns in a safe so that your kids can't get to them, is incredibly important. That's one. 2 is teaching your kids that if they do come across a gun, what to do, because they might think it's really, really cool, but you're like, guns are really serious, and so they might go to their neighbor's house and they might find the neighbor's gun because he doesn't lock up his guns because he's an idiot. So it's not just about what you're doing; it's about teaching your kids to be very responsible in that other situation as well. And so I think that there's definitely there's an NRA video called Eddie the Eagle, and if you go search it on YouTube, it's a little video about a little group of kids that find a gun and what they do and what you're supposed to do when you find a gun. There are a bunch of kids playing in the park at a basketball, and they find a backpack that has a gun in it, and they talk about it. It's kind of a cartoon for kids to tell you what to do and what not to do if you find a gun. So it's really good. I suggest everyone do that, whether you have guns in your home or whether you don't. Who knows? Your kids could be playing in the park and they find a backpack and there's a gun in it. They pull that out and say, "Oh, this is cool. I've never seen one of these before." Points at his friend and pulls the trigger, not knowing this is loaded. So that definitely does happen, and it is absolutely tragic. So educate your kids about that.
Yeah, that's a great one.
You go ahead. What's your next one?
Yeah. So my next one was academic pressures to be perfect.
Okay.
This one is like, I don't know. I guess there's different feelings about this, but it's like, oh, you have to. You have to graduate high school with an associate's or a bachelor's degree, or you're going to be behind in life, or you have to get perfect grades, or you got to take all these AP classes and all this sort of kind of stuff. It's like, I think education is very important, but I think the social aspect as well is also very important. We have some friends that are of our family that their kids basically they went through high school so fast, and they took this like special high school accelerated course that when they graduated high school they already had a bachelor's degree, and then it's like, but their kids are just like constantly anxiety ridden and just stressed out about school and classes, everything. You got these like 15, 16-year-old kids that are like college level stressed and trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And I don't know. I feel like a 15, 16-year-old kid should be figuring out what we want to do this weekend,
Yeah.
not what I want to do with my life so much.
Yeah.
You know, it's like some of that stuff will iron its way out, right? And like I said, education is very important, but if you put so much stress on it that it just becomes like it can become a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think it can become too much,
Yeah.
right? There's kids that the levels of anxiety and depression are so high, and it's like, well, yeah, no duh, because you don't have any free time, you don't do anything, you don't have hobbies, you don't have or you have 50 hobbies.
Yeah.
And you're learning the trumpet and the piano and tap dancing and jujitsu and this and that, and it's like you have so much stuff that you can't rest, like you can't, and so I think sometimes it's good just to stop and smell the roses a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think just a little too much, I think kind of goes back to stimulation, right? Sometimes it's just, you need to let kids learn, kind of choose their own path, right? If they want to do some of those things, and that's great. But as parents, we want to try to provide them with all the opportunities. But don't live vicariously through your kids and everything that they do, and you push them to do every single thing that you ever wanted to do because you didn't get the chance or whatever else. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one of mine. It's like it's not so hidden. It's kind of an obvious one, but don't. You will have. I promise you, you will have the rest of your life to work like a dog and to have the stress of family and supporting your kids and doing everything perfect and the boss or the employees that you have to deal with, right? Taxes and everything else, right? You're going to have a lifelong of that, which is fine, right? That's growing up, but don't make it happen too fast. Like, let kids be kids, man.
Yeah. The joy is in the journey.
Yeah.
I mean, if I think sometimes it's easy to get into this mindset of like, oh, when I get to this point, then I'm going to be happy. And so it's like, oh, when I get my college degree, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be set. And it's like, and then what, man? You just going to go work? Those college years are so fun.
Yeah.
So you're going to skip. You've basically completed college. So you've saved yourself a little bit of money, but now you're missing out on the whole college experience. I don't know. I think that.
Well, that's one thing that I
tragic.
Look back at my college years, and I think in order to graduate, you had to have like 121 credits or something like that, and I graduated with 122 credits.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, it was like I did everything that I had to do, and I was going year round, and it was like, let's get done as fast as possible. I took everything I needed to get done to get that business degree and to move on, right? Which was fine, but did I really need to do that? Like there's other things that I would have liked to explore, right? From like a college standpoint. I'm sure there's other classes and other things that I would have liked to say, well, let me go dabble in this a little bit. Let me take a couple classes over there and see if that interests me. I wish I would have done more of that.
Well, I think that's a little bit, honestly, I personally think that's a little bit of the culture that we grew up in, though. It's just like, so it's just like milepost driven. Like you've got to do this. I mean, we both got married when we were like 21.
Yeah, too.
So 21, 22. I mean, that's really early. It's just like, oh, then you got to graduate college, and then you got to have kids, and then you got to buy a house. And then it's just like so many of these check boxes that you feel like you're not legitimate as an adult until you do these things. And so like you're just running as fast as you can to get to that next checkpoint. And then you get there and you're like, oh, this isn't as great as I thought it was going to be. Like maybe I should just enjoy the road along the way, smell the roses a little bit more, So, yeah, that's a good one. Very good one. Anything else on that one?
No, that's it.
Okay. So the next one I had was another kind of major problem, and I have a sort of little bit of a story with this one, is drowning.
Mm.
Very awful. Leading cause of death for kids at 1 to 4. And then like the second leading cause of death for kids is age 5 to 14. So I have a buddy that says, he was telling me the story about a very close family friend that they have. These people we went down to Orlando this year actually for a tournament down there. We got an Airbnb with a pool in it. And he got one too, but didn't have a pool. And he's like, "Oh, my wife is against a pool." So, and I was like, What's up with the?" I was like, "Why not? Like all these houses down here have pools in them." And he was like, "Yeah." So they had a family friends that they got an Airbnb with a pool in it, and for some reason the latch to get into the pool, like the gate latch, didn't latch all the way, or it was messed up or broken, and their little toddler went in there and fell into the pool and drowned, died. And, while they're on vacation. And it was just absolutely tragic. And that was only one person removed from me. Just my friend's, a very close friend of my buddy. And I was just like, man, that is so horrible. So when those kids are real little, like, you've got to watch them like a hawk. Statistically, boys are more at risk for drowning, and I think maybe because they're braver, or they think they're braver,
Or more curious, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's a avoidable thing. You can definitely avoid that by teaching your kids how to swim as early as you can. Sometimes people will teach their kids those swimming courses, their babies' swimming courses. I've seen those, and I've always kind of admired that. I don't know where I could have ever taught my kids that. I took my kids to swim lessons when we were young, but it was just like some 16-year-old girl teaching them how to kick their legs in a pool. And I was like, why am I paying for this,
Yeah.
At Aquatots, that's where we took them. But yeah, which is a weird place, by the way. It's like in a little mini strip mall, and it's just like a regular place you'd walk in, and there's like a giant pool inside.
Hey.
You ever been to Aquatots?
Yeah.
You ever heard of that?
Yeah. Somebody's making money.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like one of those it's like one of those things you just send your nanny to with the kids, That's what it seemed like. But anyway, something for kids to do after school. But hey, if you don't have a pool in your neighborhood or in your house, take your kids to Aquatots and teach them how to swim. So anyway, that was the one danger that would be absolutely tragic. I mean, all these are tragic dangers. These are real physical dangers. The next one I have isn't a physical danger, but it is a very real danger in other senses.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tragic. I can't even imagine. Yeah. Well, my last one is kind of similar to that. It is just poor health in general. So I'm going to kind of lump it into two categories. One is eating, and one is exercise.
Okay.
There are just a lot of times, especially like schools and stuff like that, there's just not a lot of healthy options, right? It's like they can have, their food, and then potentially like a carrot or a pear or an apple, and then there's like this entire
which the kids
wall
don't
of,
eat.
Yeah, and then there's this entire wall of like Rice Krispie treats and gummies and candy and cookies and chips and all this sort of kind of stuff, right? And it's like, I think whenever Michelle Obama was over like the health of the United States, one of her things was like, it was like the tomato sauce on pizza at school was considered a vegetable. And it's just like, I don't know if I consider tomato sauce on pizza a vegetable, but okay.
I thought I heard that she like implemented all these like vegetable requirements and stuff like that, but like a lot of school admins were complaining because all this stuff was just being thrown in the garbage.
Yeah.
So it's wasting tons of money on carrots and green beans and all this stuff that kids were just throwing right in the trash.
Yeah. So number one, just unhealthy choices in general. I mean, a lot of times unhealthy food and candy and snacks and treats, they taste good, right? They taste better than carrots. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's one. Just uh, poor education. I think this goes a little bit from, obviously the parents, right? But then as well, it's like, how many times has the food triangle been changed? It's like, oh, well, it's a triangle, it's a pyramid. Oh, actually, it's an upside down triangle. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
dairy's good. Oh, actually, dairy's bad. Oh, I mean, eggs are terrible for you because it's bad because it's cholesterol. And then it's like, oh, actually, um, some cholesterol is good, and then there's other cholesterols that are bad, and eggs have the good kind, so eggs are good for you. And then it's just like, it's so back and back and forth, which I understand we're learning more just in general about health, but um, it's
Well,
like,
all that is driven by is lobby groups.
yes,
The
100%.
egg lobbyists or the milk lobbyists or these
Yep.
grain or whatever. That's all that's driven by.
Yeah, the literally the all of the biggest athletes in the world are, got on these got milk commercials, right? With the milk mustache. Oh, got milk. Oh, Ronaldo or Messi or Brett Favre, right? Drinks milk, so I'm going to go do it. That's how they got strong. And so it's just like, it is all a sales tactic. It's the same reason why they put all the sugary cereals on the bottom half of the shelves in the grocery stores, so that all the kids can see them, and so that they can point it out to their parents. Oh, I want this. Can I have this? Can I have this? Right? All the flashy sugar cereals are at the bottom of the shelf.
And all the candy is at kid height
Yeah.
at the checkout. You're like, oh, can I have this, Dad? Can I have these airheads, Dad? Can I have these nerds, Dad?
Yeah.
No, you don't need that.
So, um, and I don't think this is hidden at all. It's in plain
Oh,
sight,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think, um, and I think one of the biggest things too is that there's just a lot of times there's no proper example from parents on healthy eating or healthy living or exercise or I remember mom and dad growing up, and maybe this is or isn't the way to do it, but there was always like the next, I don't want to say the next like fad diet, but it was like it seemed like they were very, at least they tried to be health conscious, right? I remember dad would be like, he'd go to that world store and grind his own peanut butter out
Home
of
economist store, yeah.
home economy store. He'd grind his own peanut butter out of the peanuts in the back of the store. It's like a little grinding machine. And he'd be like, oh,
good, man.
yeah. He's like, you don't want to eat that crap Jif peanut butter, right? He's like, eat this real peanut butter. And it was just kind of just in general health conscious, right? They weren't too strict. We still had ice cream and this and that and the other, but I think just especially dad coming from a family that has so many health problems with diabetes and this and just poor health, that him being, and I think kind of being in the medical field as well, kind of solidified that and gave him a better understanding of what the body needs. But I think mom and dad definitely kind of helped us out in that category. And I remember going as a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. I remember going to the YMCA with dad in the morning before work or before school, or whenever he'd get home, and we'd go up to the Y and we'd work out or do whatever. So that just poor health in general. I think people seek, me included, right? Kids, people seek instant gratification. And a lot of times just sitting there eating Twinkies or shoving your face and sitting on the couch watching TV is a lot more of a dopamine hit than, getting out there grinding, eating healthy and something that maybe would pay off better in the long run, but it's not going to give you that instant gratification.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, my last one here is interesting. It's fatherlessness. So, in the U.S., 23 to 25% of the U.S. children are raised in single-parent homes. 49.7% of black children are raised in single-parent homes. And that causes a lot of problems. 20% of white children are raised in single-parent homes. listen to some of these stats about what that can cause. 85% of the youth that are in prison, 85% of them come from fatherless homes.
85%.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Youth suicides, 63% are from fatherless homes. Homelessness, runaway children, 90% are from fatherless homes. 71% of high school dropouts are from fatherless homes. Behavioral disorders, 85% of children with disorders are from fatherless homes. Substance and abuse patients, 75% of adolescent patients in treatment centers are from fatherless homes. Teenage pregnancy, girls are 7 times, that's 700%, more likely to become pregnant as teens with fatherless homes. And then probably because they're seeking after, the love of a male figure in their life, and they're seeking it in all the wrong places because there's some punk kid out there who's willing to take advantage of that situation. Incarceration risk. Children without a father are at least 2 to 3 times more likely to be incarcerated. So conversely, children with actively involved fathers are 43% more likely to get A's in school, 33% less likely to drop out, and 80% less likely to spend time in jail. So, lots of reasons to stick around in your kid's life. If you're listening to our podcast for the first time and you're teetering on the edge of whether you're going to abandon your family or not, hopefully I've just
don't
convinced
do
you
it.
not to. If you listen to our podcast for a long time, you're probably not going to abandon your family. But now you know at least the importance of what you're doing. And just by being there, just by being a loving father, just by loving your wife, showing her that love, showing your kids that you love your wife, modeling that relationship, that is huge. You're saving your kids from a laundry list of issues I just read off by just doing that, by just being there and being supportive. That doesn't mean that's everything, but it's a lot of things. I mean, if I said to you, hey, if you could you want to reduce your child's likelihood of going to prison by 85%, you're like, oh, sure. Or make it 80% less likely your kid's going to go to jail. Sure. Okay, well, be a good father. Stick around. Be in their lives. Okay. So.
Well, I think it even goes deeper than that, too, from like a community perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If fathers stuck around, imagine how much better the community would be if you had 80% less people going to prison.
Yeah, because those people are committing crimes in the community.
Or committing crimes or whatever else. It's like, imagine how much of an uplift that would have on the community in general.
Yep.
Like, huge.
Yeah.
In our country and the world, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so, I mean, you ask about like, well, these communities. So what about some of these black communities where 50% of the community has half of these kids don't have dads, and they're running around doing who knows what. Maybe not every single one of them, but a good chunk of them are running around doing who knows what, causing problems, and that is the disintegration of the family in those communities where that's prevalent, and even like some micro communities of white children or any people, that's a major problem, and so that needs to be corrected.
I wonder what if that is like just like the influence of a specific father in the household, or I wonder if and obviously it wouldn't hurt, but like just male figures in the community, like maybe at church or at a I know that there's there's some things that had done at the kids' schools before, where they basically say, just any dad can come out and we're going to cheer these kids on. We're going to sit down with them. You can come and eat lunch with, these kids or whatever else. And it's like, it's just everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, right? Everybody is going to feel the support of a father figure, And so I think, heck, if that's where you can start in a community, man, start there. Try to,
Absolutely. Yeah, these father figures can be really helpful in a community. That can be an absolutely great way to give back to those who might not have that. And there's lots of programs. There's, Big Brother, Big Sister programs. I know one of my buddies does that. He's a big brother for a kid. And just some of the stories he was telling me, he's just like, man, these kids, like, their parents don't care about them. I'll take them home, and there's just no food in the fridge and stuff like that. And so it's just real tragic. But there's a lot that you can do with that. I had something else you were saying, but I forgot what it was. Yeah, I had not heard another thing. Maybe this is a hidden thing, but it was like, what is the number one thing that you can do that increases your child's likelihood of being sexually abused? Like, what's the number one thing that would cause that? And it's like having a step parent in the picture.
Yeah.
Because almost nearly the vast majority, the abuse occurs from that step parent. I would venture to say most likely it's a stepfather, but that's not always the case. And so sometimes a father figure, a stepfather isn't a good thing. Some guys don't step up to the plate like you would hope that they would. They make it worse. So hopefully we can help fight against that, right? That's what we're about. We're doing it for our families, but then trying to help with others, other families around us. Watch out for those kids. And if you see any red flags, raise them. Because sometimes those kids can't do it themselves.
Yeah, it's our duty, right? As fathers, as husbands, as men in the community, to keep the wolves at bay.
Yep.
Some of these challenges, some of these dangers that our kids and us we will face, and it's our job to call them out, to recognize them, and to talk about them. Right, bring them to the forefront. They lose their power when we talk about them.
Yep, brought to light.
And so we bring them into the light. So we encourage you out there to think about these. Maybe come up with your own. We'd love to hear them, and talk to your kids about them. Right, see what they think. Ask them, what are some things that you face that you think are dangerous in your life. And I know that it'll be an exercise that will be eye-opening. Definitely something I'm going to do with my kids after having this conversation and preparing about it. I'm going to be like, oh, man, I need to make sure I'm talking about all these kids or all these things with my kids. So for everybody out there, we appreciate it. And as always, let's build that creed together.